Hello, and welcome to Informatically Speaking, the Greater Delaware Valley ANIA podcast designed to promote knowledge sharing in the field of nursing informatics, locally, nationally, and globally within our unique industry. At GDV ANIA, we are committed to providing opportunities for professional development with the goal of advancing nursing informatics practice. I'm your host, Constance McLaughlin. Welcome back to the GDV ANIA podcast, Informatically Speaking, a podcast for practicing informaticists and informatics enthusiasts alike. In this episode, we welcome Elizabeth Elkind, current editor for the Journal of Informatics Nursing, or JIN, and is also the coordinator of ANIA's certification review course. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
This is exciting. I like this topic. Today, we're going to talk about publishing and nurses and writing. I think a lot of people feel a little bit nervous about that. But before we jump into it, because I think everybody's going to be excited to hear about what kind of advice you have, let's talk a little bit about the journal. I don't know that everybody knows about the journal. They should, of course, but I don't know really how many people are out there reading it. So tell us the feel of the journal, the focus, of course, and then the importance of us reviewing what's out there.
All right. Well, the journal comes out currently quarterly, and it's not a hard read from front to back. You may not want to read all of the articles because they may not be of interest, but I know with each issue, there's at least one or two. Additionally, in each issue, there is an article that is included for nursing continuing professional development. So it's anywhere from 1 contact hour to sometimes 1.5 or 1.7 contact hours. So you read that, complete the evaluation, which is available in the ANIA library, and you get your contact hours. So that's another way for achieving nursing professional continuing education for work, for your certification. Depending on the state that you're in, you may need it for licensure. So there's a variety of ways that can be useful for you professionally. Additionally, I'm not so sure many of our members also understand that when you write and are published in JIN, each year we have an award that goes out to a member who's published in JIN. It's the Maggie Cox Award. So that award comes with a nice little stipend. So it's a great way to get recognized, but also meet some professional development for you in terms of getting published and adding to your professional career. So that's something to think about as you're in the journal reading the articles. And we accept a variety of different articles. So depending on what you're writing about, it might be a quality improvement initiative that you did. We also periodically have a day in the life of an informatics nurse. And those are shorter little segments, and those are actually really nice segments for novice authors wanting to get started. So you're not as overwhelmed. It still has that scholarly component to it in terms of you have to have citations and references. They need to be current, but it's a good way to dip your toe into the writing world. And actually, I am a unicorn in terms of an editor. So if you have questions, want to reach out to me with your ideas, I will respond to your emails. So my email is editor@ania.org. So this may be some impetus to get you started and thinking about writing, and feel free to reach out to me. I am happy to assist. This is something I'm very passionate about, and that a lot of nurses seem to think I'm going to be a nurse. And I know with my undergraduate students, they tell me, I'm going to be a nurse. I don't need to write. Why do you do this to me? And I'm like, every nurse should be writing. A BSN nurse, an MSN nurse, a DMP, a PhD, we all should be writing and sharing and adding to our knowledge in terms of nursing informatics and building that. That's how we get new ideas for research. So you may think, I can only write about research. It doesn't have to be about research. There can be something new that you want to share and have others learn about in the informatics realm. That those are great little articles to get started with. So please feel free to reach out to me, because I want to let you get into writing and let that writing passion get that bug, because that's the way we build on our knowledge, is sharing our knowledge.
I love that, Elizabeth. And that's something I think that I've been carrying the torch for a while, not about the writing piece. I'm just starting to get the bug now. But as far as sharing our knowledge, I think that is, we always seem to be in our own worlds, deep thinking about our patients or what have you. And we're not really thinking about, oh, that's important to share. Everything that we do as nurses is important to share. So at least start doing that, right? But you are passionate about this. And, as long as I have been in the industry, which has been a long time, and whenever I show up at a conference, there you are in the booth for Gin, promoting promoting writing, promoting the journal. And have you always been a writer? Okay, how did you get started?
Believe me, writing was not my passion. Wait. But you know what? It takes someone who will give you the feedback, the time, and give you constructive feedback so that you can improve. And writing is a process, so it takes time to build and grow and nurture it. So it evolves over time, and you have to write and you have to keep at it to get better. And writing for many people is truly a learning experience, because it takes you way out of that comfort zone. And I later in my career, and actually some of my best feedback finally was in my PhD work, and getting that feedback and listening to what they had to say. And I also had people that were very constructive with the feedback. And then I had people that were not so constructive with the feedback. Actually, that is one of the unique things about Gin and our peer review process, because actually in publishing and getting published, if we give destructive feedback and very critical, nasty, and let me tell you, I had many of my peers, and I even got it from different submissions to a variety of different journals. I mean, it is not always nice. It is not always constructive. And I mean, I remember one of my peers, when she submitted an article, came crying to my office and showed me and I was like, that is not constructive feedback. She's like, I'm never going to write again. We are doing a disservice if we do that. So one of the unique things about our peer reviews is we want you to improve your writing, build your skills, and grow. So it is not going to be unconstructive feedback and bashing. It's going to help you improve your writing, build those skills, refine them. So that's a unique thing about it. And after watching both myself and other peers go through it, and being very disheartened, that was when we began the Journal of Informatics Nursing. That was one of my very big stands. You've got to give constructive feedback. It cannot be bashing. We've got to help them with their writing skills. Informatics nursing is still in its very young development, compared to our other nursing specialties. If we don't do this right, we are going to be killing our specialty instead of building our specialty. So that is something the peer reviewers are very aware and very good about doing that. And you can actually talk to people who've published in GIN, and if you come and join our journal club, which is starting in June, hear about their publishing experience in GIN. And maybe that will give you that safety net that you'll dip your toe in the water and give it a shot.
Oh, that's some good advice. So talk about the peer review process for those of us who aren't quite sure what that really means.
Well, the peer review process, we do a double peer review process where they go through and they review your article. We have we look for specific things in terms of organization flow. Is it current? Is the information accurate? And then they also, with reviewing the article, will write comments in there if something isn't making sense, or there's additional key literature that is being missed in there to highlight and bring it out and have them rethink or refocus for components that may be lacking in the article. But that process, we have a peer review team, which you'll see on the inside pages of the journal, and they're all listed there, but you don't know who's reviewing it, and we blind it. They don't know whose article this is, and then they provide the feedback, and then with their feedback, I take that, and then we follow up, which is usually about 8 weeks from time of submission until the follow-up happens.
So if I were to write something now, then I would expect something back within about 8 weeks. And then would I expect it to be, do you have a long wait time before it actually gets into the journal?
It's generally within 6 months. Well, before you get there, you got to talk about, does it need revision? So depending on how much revision it needs.
Right. Absolutely.
And let me be honest, there's always something that needs revising because we want you to improve and have a nice polished product when your manuscript is being published. So depending on how much revision, and we actually work with the author or authors with their schedule, because sometimes things can be turned around very quickly, and then other times, they have a major project going live, and they're like, okay, I need more time. We work with them. So those are all facets that impact when it will actually get published. But usually once it's accepted, it's usually within 6 months, sometimes because I do focus issues of the journal. So if I'm hanging on for a focused issue, it's usually within a year at the latest that they're published.
Wow. And the process takes such a long time. You can't help but learn along the way. So it's not like it's this quick thing that's happening and you have to be perfect the first time. You're learning everything along the way. I think that's so neat.
Well, and it's really important to look at the author guidelines for GIN to get you started. Those are very important because they lay out the framework for what we are looking for. APA style, the literature, it needs to be current within 5 years, scholarly. And we try to build from the nursing literature, but there are times when something is new, it cannot solely be built from the nursing literature. There's very little nursing literature on it. So there's different points in time where there's some leeway in building what that manuscript may be, that all come into play. The other thing with APA is, I know everyone hates APA, but APA really helps your writing. It helps you frame it. And if you think of APA like your outline, because when you create your outline, that is what then also builds your level headings for the manuscript, and getting your references formatted in APA. And it's not that hard. It's just taking a little time and spending the time learning it. Once you get it under your belt, you begin to see how it does help and support, and how much easier it gets.
And I'm sure it would take you right back to school and say, oh, right, I remember. Because I never thought that APA was all that difficult. As long as you have, the guidelines there, it's really not that difficult. It's just, I think it's something that we fall out of favor with, or, we completely forget and lose sight of all that work.
Yeah, it's not on the radar for a priority.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what kind of advice would you give our listeners about getting started? I mean, we talked about the process, and I think it just, you're putting yourself out there to, and you're so vulnerable with writing, and it's something that people aren't used to doing all the time. What kind of advice would you have for those who may want to get started, or maybe someone who's kind of on the edge that hasn't quite said, "Yep, I think I want to write this down"?
Well, writing comes with a lot of obstacles because we don't do a lot of it in undergraduate, graduate, we do more. But it may not be, we're used to assignments, filling in what the assignment requirements are, following that rubric. Now, when you're writing, it's not the same. You have to create your outline. And starting with an outline is really, really helpful. But that outline, you've got to remember, it's going to be fluid. So there's things that, as you start writing, you may want to take in, keep it in, or take it out, or revise it. So those are pieces that happen with the writing process. But having an outline and thinking about something that excites you. Because when you have to write about something that doesn't excite you, like think about back in school, an assignment, you dreaded that. So we got to remove some of those obstacles to get you excited and motivated about writing. Writing can also be a learning process for something that's new that you want to learn more about. And you dive into the literature and then share your findings about what you've learned for others. So there's a variety of approaches you can take, and you have to start writing down those ideas. What's exciting? What's new? What interests you? And that's the big thing I want to tell you, is writing it down. Don't keep it in your head. You got to start putting some of these pieces down on either a Word document. There's some people who I know like to still do a handwritten journal of those ideas to get them started, and then transfer it over to a Word document. Because I'm going to tell you, you got to get it on the computer, because so you can rearrange, move, and save your different versions. Because as you're writing, don't throw everything out and not make it retrievable again, because as you get further along in writing, you may want that and go back to it. So I'm very good about versioning things, because you will come back and maybe want bits and pieces. So make it easy, not harder for you.
Whatever works. But I agree. I think an outline is something that will help you get your thoughts together. Um, Although sometimes when I have too many thoughts, I just get them all out. And then I'll start with it, I'll rearrange things and maybe put it in an outline after that. I mean, however you need to work. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter, just get it down there, right?
yeah, get it on paper or on a Word document, because it's not doing you any good floating around in your mind. You got to get it down on paper or a Word document. And as you start looking at it, more ideas come
Mhm.
as you start working with it.
And reading too, just keeping up on the different journals that are out there for us. There's so many of them. Look at what interests you, right? And read through what's interesting you, and look at the styles, because everybody's got different writing styles too, and all the different journals or magazines, they accept things differently as well, which is what
Yeah,
I just learned.
yes, they will have different styles. There are some when you go in, and that's really very frustrating at times, because I've had some people, they're like, I'm all ready to write. I found the journal, and what the heck is Chicago style? What is Victorian style? What happened to ABA? They said, well, those are some of the things you have to consider, and that's why you start looking and you see. But don't let that be what stops you from writing.
That's right. That's right. I'll always go back to the amount of information that we have to share, because we all have our own experiences, right? So regardless of if the topic has been written about, you still have your own experiences on that topic, and the outcomes are different. I mean, there's so many ways that you can slice a topic, and write about it.
And one article cannot cover every in and out. So there may be something new you have to offer to that.
That's true. That's true. So tell us about the Journal Club. This is new, right?
Yes, we will be launching our first journal club on June 3rd. You can go to the ANIA website and sign up for all the journal clubs. You need to sign up, and if you can make it and join us, because these are live, and you will get, if you're an ANIA member, we do provide nursing continuing professional development contact hours, so you will get that too. It's a great way to highlight some of the articles that we've had over the past year and get more information from the authors that you may have read the article and been wanting to ask. A wonderful opportunity. There may be additional things you want to share with the authors. And it's also a great opportunity for us to talk about writing, how they got started with the article and how it went, hear how others are doing it, and share the experience of writing. So it will be a very unique and different thing with the Journal Club, and we hope you'll join us. And if you can't join the first one, we have another one in September and then another one in December. So at least sign up, and when you can make it, you make it.
That's awesome. Wow, I didn't realize that. I actually hadn't looked at all the criteria, but that sounds like a really engaging. So is it an hour long? How long is it each one?
Well, it should last maximum of an hour. It just how many questions? It will probably be about 45 to 60 minutes.
Wow. And you already have a lot of folks signed up, right?
Yes,
Thought I
we
heard
do.
that.
We have over 200 signed up for them. So we're
Wow.
hoping more will join in. And if you can't make the first one, there's future ones. So please sign up. And if you're interested in writing, this is a wonderful opportunity for you too, to have some further discussion and hear others' perspective.
That is exciting. That's exciting. Well, I have to sign up for it. I have to be part of it, just to, if nothing else, listen in and start to understand what's happening with these folks that are actually successful at writing and submitting to the journal so that I can learn. That's really cool. Elizabeth, is there anything that we did not touch upon that you want to talk about with the viewers?
Well, another little consideration is you don't have to write alone. Writing doesn't have to be for a manuscript, a lonely process. But understand, whoever is submitting with authors, they really have to be participating and contributing toward it. So you may have your peers at work and you've done a project that you want to share, or you're doing some research for something coming up that you want to share and enlighten others about the information that is out there on that doing it as a group and sharing and divvying up and making sure everyone's contributing, that's another option. And when you work with a group, though, you do have to have that timeline and everyone agreeing, and there'll be some flexibility at times, but in order to move it forward, it's like a project the way you're working with a group.
It's true.
So that's another consideration. And, you can learn from each other, because you may have people who really like to write, or people that are very strong in APA and doing literature searches that can help. Everyone can help. There's roles and share, and then everyone can learn to build on skills that are not their best skills. You get those weaker skills and improve them over time. So a group effort can work just as well too.
And that is a great way of going about it, because everybody does have their own strengths. And, it's way too easy nowadays to have a Google shared drive, or if you're writing it with folks that you work with, team spaces, you can share the document, you can move things around, track changes. I mean, we have the technology to do that, right?
Yes, we do.
So
we should be using it.
That's right. It's so easy to do that. And, even in work, we have a lot of opportunity to do that as informaticists. So, sharing documents, sharing PowerPoints and adding to it. So that's a great point. Well, Elizabeth, this has been enlightening. I think that everybody should start pen to paper, but at the very least, pick up Gin. If you're not a member, be a member. Start reading through Gin. I have to do a better job of more than scanning and get in there to the articles. But in addition to that, sign up for the Journal Club, because that sounds very promising. I'm excited for that.
I'm looking forward to it and hoping to see some of you guys at that first Journal Club.
That sounds great. Well, thank you, Elizabeth, so much for your willingness to participate in the podcast and sharing all of your knowledge. I appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll join us again for another session of Informatically Speaking.
This has been a production of the Greater Delaware Valley chapter of the American Nursing Informatics Association. For more information about the GDV ANIA chapter, visit us at community.ania.org/Greater Delaware Valley/home.